Alright, welcome back. So in this video we're going to explore further what n8n nodes are, how the workflows work together, and I'll give you an introduction of how to create your first step and add different nodes together or different apps together and connect them to be able to go further and create different automations, workflows, or AI agents. Before we get started, make sure you have watched the previous videos because this is kind of a continuation of that. Alright, so we're back to our canvas. This is our test workflow as we built in the previous video. So we're going to go ahead and add our first step. So nodes are the building blocks of n8n. You can think of it that way, right? There's three categories of nodes. There's the entry point node, there is the function node, and then there's the exit point node. So there are different types of node in n8n. There's triggers that are basically your entry points. There's actions and apps, which we'll talk about, which are kind of the functions. And then there's nodes that are related to data transformation, to flow, to files, and many more advanced nodes, including AI nodes. So the way to add nodes into your canvas or into your workflow is you can click on the middle button right here, or you can come here on the top right hand corner, and as you can see it says open nodes panel, right? So you can do that or click on this. It will take you to the same place. Okay, so once you do that, it's going to open up. Because this is the first step, it's going to immediately take you to a place where it says what triggers this workflow, because a trigger is the first step that will start your workflow. There's several types of triggers. There's the manual trigger, there's on an app event, there's on schedule, on webhook call, there's on form submission, and again, depending on what you're building, these different triggers will be relevant to your workflow. So for example, if we just want to build a test workflow, we can click on trigger manually, and this will automatically add that node into the center of our canvas. And now we can move this. So you can move a node around by holding it, clicking on it and holding it, and you can move it around. So what this does is basically means that whenever you click the test workflow here, this workflow, the first step or this trigger is going to get initiated. On the top right here, as you can see these three dots, you can click on that. You can test this step from here. You can rename this node. You can deactivate it. You can copy and paste it, or you can delete it. And the shortcut here is also that you can delete this node right from the top right there. So, and on the left hand side, as you can see, this kind of identifies already that this is a trigger node. And if we click on, if we put in another node, you will see that it will always have this little lightning sign, which means that this node is a trigger node. So let's go ahead and get rid of that and add another trigger node. So on the right hand side, again, you can see all these nodes that are existing. So let's say you were building a chatbot, right? Let's say you're building an AI agent that you're going to utilize with chat, which means that you can embed this into a website. You can click on a chat node, and this will be your first trigger. So same thing on the bottom, as you can see, it says when chat message received, meaning that this is going to be your trigger now. And on the bottom right here, as you can see, this chat appears next to the test workflow. And again, same thing on the left hand side, you can see the trigger button here, meaning that this is going to be your first node to trigger your workflow. On the right hand side, so this is where you can connect nodes to this particular node, right? So when you click on it, it's going to be the equivalent of same as going right here and clicking on it, meaning that once you click on this directly, this will now open up what happens next, right? That's what gives you and gives you flow that tells you, hey, add another node, because we've already had a trigger, so it already recognizes that. So now we can add additional triggers. So now we can do action in an app, meaning we can do something in an app with services like Google and all sorts of other native integration it already has with n8n. So these are going to be all of the apps that are already there, that already exist within n8n, so you can add any of it. So for example, let's say I want to add a Gmail node. I could either scroll and find that particular app that I'm looking for, or the fastest way to do this is just quickly search here, right? So if I search for Gmail, I can add that Gmail node, and now further it's going to give me options of, okay, what kind of a Gmail node do you want this to be? So it really gives you a more specific. So for example, if you want to send a message, you can click on send a message, and now as you can see, it will automatically open that node. So let's go ahead and get out of this, and as you can see right now, it is the next step that got attached to this previous trigger node. And I can move this around, and it shows you that this node is attached to this previous step. Okay, so the way to delete this, same thing, you can either come here, delete this node from here, or if you want to remove this connection, you can come and click on this remove connection right here. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Now if I want to add, let's say not an app, but I want to be able to add something to transform the data that I'm receiving from this chat message, for example, I can click on data transformation, and this will open up all of the data transformation nodes that are available within n8n. You can add code to it, you can add date and time, edit field. This is a very, very useful tool that we'll go into in detail in later videos, but you can modify, add, or remove different items that are coming in from your previous node. You can do different types of filtrations. You have splitting out of the data. You can filter a data based on a condition. You can merge, you can aggregate. So they're really, really great nodes that they already have when it comes to transforming your data or data transformation. You can have a flow. You can click on the flow node group, which basically gives you all of the popular nodes that are within that category. So you can loop over items, you can filter, you can merge items, and then obviously these other ones that are there as well. There's obviously the core and the advanced AI, and these are kind of the complicated ones, but for now we will not focus on this because, again, this is kind of an introductory video for now. And you can always add another trigger to this as well, but that's not really common. But let's go ahead and actually add another node, so that way I can introduce what the canvas is and what the inside of this node looks like. So let's click on data and transformation, or like I said, I could always just, if I already know which node I want to add, I can quickly search this node as well. So let's say I want to search for data. So once I do that, all of the nodes that are related to data will show up, and I can go ahead and select whatever I want. So let's say, so this customer data store is a n8n training node, which is great because this gives you some pre-populated or that data that's already inside it, so that way you can interact with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and click on get all people, and now as you can see, it quickly added this to my trigger here. If I click on chat on the right hand side on the bottom here, this will open up my chat window, where then I can send some form of a data into that particular node. So let's say I want to send a data called, let's say, hello. So if I click on that, as you can see, now you will see that this node executed a chat message saying hello, and this outputted the node. So that's another really cool thing from the n8n's user interface, is that you can see the data that's coming in from different nodes just from the outside, and how much data is coming in, right? So from here, I'm saying, hey, one item is coming in from this chat node, is being outputted and it's being sent to my other node that's attached to it. And from this node, there's 5 items coming in. So let's go ahead and click on this node. The way to get inside a node is you can double click into it, and it will open up this node and what's inside of it. But before I do that, actually, let me go ahead and get rid of the data that's coming in here, just so we can start from scratch there. So if I want to remove the data that's got initiated from these different nodes, I can come in the bottom here, and if I click on this little delete button, it's going to delete the execution, or it says at the bottom, deletes the current execution data. So if I do that, now I'm back to blank, meaning nothing is being outputted from these nodes. So let's go ahead and double click on this. And here, this is the inside of a node, if you think about it that way. So in the middle here, this, I can move this thing around, meaning this is the node that I'm currently interacting with. The input, so this is going to be coming in from my previous node, and the output is going to be the output of the current node that I'm in, right? So my previous node, I can click on execute, and this is going to execute the previous node, which in our case is going to be our chat node. I can also click on this left hand side in the corner. If I go back here, I can see it here in the little corner here. I can click on it, and it will take me to the previous node as well, right? So you can always go back and forth between nodes when they're connected. But I can go ahead and double click on this. So these are the different parameters and the settings for this particular node. We don't have to worry about settings in most of the nodes. Most of the nodes, we're going to be interacting with the parameter. So the operation for this particular node is, because this is a training, n8n training node, it means that it's just going to output a list of people or a list of one person. So if I select the get one person, and if I click on test step, this is going to output this result right here. Okay, so let me go ahead and move this on the left hand side here. And as you can see on the left hand side here, it says when chat message received, so that trigger, no fields, because there is nothing coming out of that input from my previous node. So on the right hand corner here, and same thing by the way, on the right and left, you can see that there's the schema view, table view, and JSON view. So let's go ahead and take a look on the right hand side because we have some data on our output. So this is currently our table output, meaning that this is going to show all of the data that's being outputted from this particular node in a table format, right? So it's going to give you basically the columns and the rows with the names on the column names on top here. So I have one piece of data that came in, or one row of data that came in from this operation, or from the output of this node, and it's showing me in the table format. There's also the JSON view. So the JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. That's a JSON data format. You can see it in the JSON view, which it shows you in a really neat and cool way if you want to be able to interact with this from a JSON view. And then there's the schema view. So this is where you can see the output in the schema mode. And we'll talk about that in a little bit and why the schema node is extremely useful when you're connecting different nodes together. So let's say I want to output some more data. Let me go back to my table view here. I can click on get all people, and this limit says 5, but it's actually only 5. Even if you add more into this, it's only going to output 5 because that's kind of the default. So let's go ahead and test this. I'm going to click on test step, and as you can see now, I have this 5 piece of data that got outputted. And again, I can see this right now in the table view because it's showing me nice and neat the column names, the rows, and then the data that's inside this. And again, I can always click on the JSON. I will be able to see the JSON view here, and then also the schema as well. Okay, so if I want to get out of this node, I can always click here and come back and see my canvas view. And as you can see right now, it says 5 items are being outputted from this particular node. And same thing again, I can always double click on it and change this format. And let's say I want to delete this and start with my trigger node, and I want to send a piece of data through this. I'm going to go ahead and say again, hello. Now, if I double click on this node, now I can see on the left hand side here, this is the data that's coming in from the previous node. So I'm looking at it in the schema view, and I can always take a look at it from a table view or the JSON view as well. So as you can see, this is the input that's coming in, and this is the output that's coming in or coming out from this particular node. Okay, and the operation of the canvas or the node itself in n8n is always from left to right. So you're going to be moving from left to right. When you're building a workflow, it's always going to go from left to right, meaning that all of the inputs are going to be coming in from the left hand side and the output's going to be on the right hand side. All right, so this video has gone long enough. Let's go ahead and stop this for now. On the next video, I'm going to go ahead and continue on this particular workflow, and we'll add a few more nodes, and I'll show you how to drag or grab data from the input and do something with that data, and therefore have a output that's going to be related to the input data that will be coming in from the previous node from us. Okay, all right, see you in the next one.